Hello, welcome back, teachers, to Teachers Help Teachers, another episode uh, in our webcast. Joining me today is my friend first, but also what he does is he is a filmmaker and a director, Simon Steuri. Welcome to the program, Simon. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Simon, let's get started with why you're here. You know, we teachers, we have to now take our classroom setting and do it remotely. We have to teach using our laptops, computers, whatever technology we have at hand to communicate, teach, give information to our students, but keeping function and some aesthetics in mind, but mostly function and communication in mind. How can we maximize what we have with our cameras, our lighting, our sound to really get our lessons and communicate clearly to our students? So Simon, talk to us about the best camera angles, will you?
And I think, I completely agree, this is like the way we work right now. It's not to kind of create the most beautiful images. It's mostly functional. We do what we can. We work with what we have. And I think that's, what I'd really love to talk about a little bit, how can we kind of like optimize the things we have and work with the things we have without spending like tons of money. Of course, you can always, like buy lights and buy this and that and backdrops, like stuff like that. But I think it's not about that. It's just, like always keeping in mind that with like, it's not only what we say, it's also that we communicate with the images, like, for example, like this backdrop here, it's something I found. I found in my basement. It's an old, like photography background, but I'm gonna talk about it a little bit later. But like you want to use what you have and create something without totally distracting from what you want to say.
So can you talk to us about the most effective camera angles, along with you mentioned backdrops?
So I think it's like it's very similar to kind of like how we approach like a human being. Like we want to kind of like um approach someone kind of like on eye level. You don't want to be kind of like, oftentimes we see this, because the kind of the laptop camera is down here. But of course, like it makes our chins look huge, like, and we don't want to be up here either. That's makes us look like really small and tiny. I think the best is just, like being eye level and maybe, like not too close to the cameras, a little bit further away, so we can also, like speak with our hands, or kind of like showing something if we have to leave a little space.
Perfect.
And
what
then,
about some backdrop?
the backdrop, yes. So I chose this because it's I know it's a little cloudy, it's not ideal, and it might distract from, like from what I'm saying. But usually the a gray backdrop, like in the mid gray somewhere, it's very flattering, like for all kinds of skin tones. It's very neutral to our eyes, and no matter what our skin tone is, it just makes it pop. So automatically it becomes the most important, your face becomes the most important part of the image. And that's what we want, like we want to focus on our face, and that ideally not on our background. For example, when I just go and turn around, and now, like I have some depths in the background now, but it totally distracts from my face. My face is now much darker. And like it's just not ideal. And be very careful also when you have, for example, like a lot of times I see people with like bookshelves in the background. It looks nice, but oftentimes, the moment I start asking me the question of, oh, what's back there, where is he or she at? Oh, that's can I read what's there? Like, what's that book? That's the moment you lose your audience.
Yes, yes. And just to reiterate what you're saying, Simon, you and I are wearing both white, and you have that flattering gray while I'm washed out in this white background. So I see what you're saying, even just our side by side camera.
It can always be kind of like a darker wall. It doesn't need necessarily to be gray. If you have like anything else in white, or like what works too, if the white is kind of like in the shade a little bit, and like the light kind of hits your face, and I'm not talking about like full sunlight, I'm still talking about a soft light, that works too. It's just, ideally you want your face to kind of like be like in the spot where you have the brightest light.
Thank you. So speaking of light, what are some lighting tips?
Like the cameras in our phones or laptops, they've come a long way, but they're still not comparable to, like industry standard cinema cameras. Of course not. They have, like, generally they have a hard time kind of dealing with strong contrast. So if you have like very strong sunlight and strong shadows, these cameras are not like not ideal for catching that, which means that ideally you want to have like a very soft light, like, for example, when you don't have a window and need some, like an artificial light, you can always kind of soften that light with, for example, I have like this, like this half transparent curtain here. So this immediately makes the light source much softer if you kind of like keep that, like keep the light source maybe like 3 feet from the curtain, and then kind of like point it to your face. That could be something. The other thing, I'm gonna show you that right now, like, so over here you already see, like what happens to my face, like when I'm standing in front of white. I have like a window coming from this side, and now, like the closer I go to the window, the better my face basically looks. It's still like over here the light is a little harder. It doesn't have that soft quality like over, like we're like in front of the gray anymore, and it maybe brings out the character of a face a little more, like when you have that soft that side light. And then when I turn around, like you can maybe see my face even better when it hits kind of like from the front. And it's still, like a window is generally a good light source because it's big and it's usually soft, like most of the time the sun doesn't shine directly into our window, so that's a good source for the light. But what we want to avoid is kind of like, kind of hitting the camera with the light from the back, because it's just, it really makes my face look dark, and the background becomes much more important. So, like, just to kind of like sum it up, like you want to have a soft light source, ideally coming from the, like hitting your face from the front, or like kind of from a 45-degree angle. That's, like that's also how like the big painters usually painted their models, like a softer light, or at least a not always soft, but at least a light that kind of comes from the front or just side.
Those are some great tips about lighting and camera angles along with your backdrop. Um, And finally, if we want to look into better sound, right? Is it a microphone that we should get? Is the built-in audio enough? Like, what is your opinion about that?
Funny thing is that for me, it's like audio is almost the most important. I know now I'm on the headphones and these are not sounding great, and but I'm not doing kind of like regular podcasts. But for everybody who does kind of like video, like video casts or kind of like record stuff on a regular basis, the first thing I would invest money in is in kind of like a USB microphone that you can kind of like plug into your laptop, because even though like your image might not be ideal, but if the quality of sound is good, it just like you're immediately on another level when it comes to the overall kind of appearance, like and it brings me back to how we started, like the content is the most important. It's not how you look like, but to come across like loud and clear. I think that's the ultimate goal.
Yes, thank you. Um, so uh, you showed us how to really communicate clearly in every way, in every aspect, using our technology through our camera, through lighting, through sound. And I really appreciate you taking the time to make this as easy as possible, and thinking about what our goal is as teachers, to communicate clearly with our students what we want to teach, with minimal distractions from backdrops to lighting and fuzzy sounds. So, so thank you for your help, your expertise. It's very much appreciated. And I'll talk to you again very soon, Simon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.